You're listening to today's inspirational message on the Proverbs with Kurt Bjorklund.
Proverbs 25 addresses relationships, and in a sense, when we come to verse 8 through about verse 15, we're dealing with resolution of conflicts. And this, again, is so central to healthy relationships, to thriving in life. And here's what this says, verse 8. Do not hastily bring into court, for what will you do in the end when your neighbor puts you to shame? Argue your case with your neighbor himself, and do not reveal another's secrets, lest he who hears brings shame upon you, and your ill repute will have no end. This is a simple statement of saying, do your best to resolve things personally rather than taking them to court. Derek Kidner writes about this in verse 8 about do not hastily bring your neighbor to court. And he says, one seldom knows the full facts or interprets them properly. And then he adds this, he says, one's motives in spreading a story are seldom as pure as one pretends. You see, coalition building is good overall when you're building support for your cause in a community. But when you use it as a weapon in interpersonal conflict in a way to bolster your position, it usually backfires. It backfires because others hear you talk about somebody else, and even if they don't consciously think it, they know that you will one day do it about them as well. And this is why your ill repute, as Proverbs says, will have no end. When you're in a conflict with somebody, you can choose to handle it privately and personally, and do this as a way to resolve it, or you can choose to handle it publicly and impersonally. Handling conflict personally and privately is always better than handling it publicly and impersonally. That's why verse 9 and 10 say, the wise deal confidently and directly with his neighbor with whom he has a dispute. In times of conflict, with a neighbor, it is foolish to gossip to others and to complain about this person. This is the idea of the secretly idea. And so this just is the wisdom of Proverbs. And then the second thing, and again, let me just quote Derek Kidner one more time. He says, to run to the law or to a neighbor is to run from the duty of personal relationship. And then he cites Matthew 18. And this leads to a second facet of resolving conflicts, and this is using our words wisely. And this is in verse 11 and following. And there's several likes here, the word like, and these are just simple comparisons. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in a setting of silver. So this is talking about appropriate, fitting words, having words that heal and bring resolution. Verse 12, like a gold ring or an ornament of gold is a wise reprover and a listening ear. Talking again, as Proverbs has so many times, about being somebody who can reprove or challenge in a way that is heard. It's not enough just to drop your truth bomb, but sometimes what you want to do is say something in a way that it's actually received, not just thrown out there. And then like a cloud, verse 13, of snow, or the cold of snow in a time of harvest is a faithful messenger to those who send him. He refreshes the soul of his masters. Cold snow and harvest just refreshed people who were exhausted from working in the heat, and snow in Israel didn't generally last long. It would fall and then be warm up as the day goes. So it would signal a coolness. And like clouds without rain is a man who boasts a gift that he does not give. This is the idea of people who constantly talk big. And so these words are all pointing to words that are well chosen. Verse 15, with patience, a ruler may be persuaded, and a soft tongue will break a bone. Meaning that your words help resolve situations. This, again, has been a huge theme throughout Proverbs. Bruce Waltke says this about the patience of a ruler. He says it can bring another to his way of thinking through a patient, open, and warm disposition and through sensitive and tactful speech. And so the question today is just, where you have conflict, are you seeking to resolve it personally and privately rather than publicly and impersonally? And are you working with all of your capacity to choose words that bring resolution? Or are you just simply throwing truth bombs?
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.